Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me. Down the inside, absolutely possible season. This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakey will dive to the inside.
We're robust. We got our elbows out.
Ronar takes the lead. Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Jarno Watmere is your champion.
Hello, good evening and a warm welcome to you. Welcome back to PSGL. You've just tuned in live to PCF3, the third highest here in the PC division. Welcome here to round number 9. We've just arrived in Japan, Suzuka. I am Frostbreath, aka Rob, and tonight joining me in the second commentary box is, well, you've seen him 2 weeks ago, I believe, wasn't it, Alex? Where you've joined us here in F3 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're back again. We are back again. And yeah, it's exciting to be back in Japan as well, an iconic circuit in Formula One. And yeah, should be an interesting race. Championship obviously closing up as well, last race. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting race, I'm sure of that one.
Yeah, let's have a look at last place, by the way, which of course was in the USA, aka Circuit of the Americas. Gregor Pesibel back on top after having a less than ideal race before the break. He won just ahead of Campbell Adams and Isaac Lead in third place. Tom Roberts in P4, and that with Daniel Kyer receiving a post-race penalty, being demoted from P13 to P16. But neither position grants any points, so it didn't really hurt him that much in the end. But yeah, Gregory Pesibel back in business, and therefore the championship lead has now shrunk to 6 points between Isaac Lead, still our championship leader, and Gregory Pesibel now second place. Tom Roberts not too far behind either. He's 16 points off the lead, and then there's Campbell Adams a bit further back, 23 points behind. So far, I'd say, Alex, it's a close call for the top two especially.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it more exciting coming into the final few rounds as well. So yeah, it's anybody's game at the moment. If you have a good run of form, you could be on top. But yeah, it's exciting coming into a track like Japan as well. It's relatively tricky to overtake as well, I'd say, Japan. So yeah, I feel like qualifying is definitely going to be important heading into this round. So yeah, see who's got the pace and the consistency during the race as well. But yeah, it's definitely looking close at the top.
Yeah, let's find out if Gregory can continue his role after the win last week, and whether Isaac Lead can do anything to come back at him here, because we're starting to run out of rounds to play here. We're now round 9, and then after that there's only 3 more to go. Las Vegas, Brazil and Mexico still coming up for you. 3 very different tracks indeed. And then the championship will be decided by the end of that last round, or perhaps a little earlier, depending on how well the top of the drivers will perform. I believe we've got a full lobby as we speak, and some new names to come alongside it. Oleg Napadovsky, for example, a new name joining us tonight in F3. And I believe, if I'm correct, that is the only fresh name here in this particular tier. Alex, what can we say about a potential favorite for pole position? Is it going to be the usual suspects, or can we expect somebody new up there?
Well, you never know. You never know. I try like Japan. I mean, if someone's put a bit more practice in and feels a bit more comfortable at a track, and it might be the favourite track as well. But yeah, obviously you look at the likes of Isaac Leet and Gregory Pesibel to be on top. But like I said, it could be anyone's game. It's a completely different circuit. It's got absolutely everything in it. So yeah, anyone's game. But let's see. Let's have a look.
Now I'm curious to see how Campbell Adams will do this time round. He was very fast last time and didn't take the win home, but it was very close to it. Just was a matter of pit stops, etc., working in the favor or not at all. But there it was. Isaac Lead, from what I can remember, was actually the only driver to attempt a 2-stop, if I recall that correctly. I hope I'm correct right there. But it was close either way. It was, no, actually, never mind. It was in a different league where I saw one person make a 2-stop. Everybody last week made a 1-stop. And therefore it remained pretty close up there. So we're now just waiting for the final driver to join. And that, I believe, is Francesco Lago. Just announced his game has crashed. Story of everybody's life in this game, I'm afraid to say. So let's hope he's joining us back very soon. And then we'll be able to get underway. I think he's, for a moment there, I thought he joined, but not yet. Just waiting a little bit longer. Looking at the list of drivers, Zalan Bieder, I believe I haven't seen him in a while. Glad to see he's back in business. Tamas Kokony once again in the RB alongside Daniel Keijer. Keijer has been racking up a few penalties over the last few weeks. Let's hope he can stay out of trouble this time round. Once again in the Ferrari, Wojtek Steg alongside Tom Roberts, one of the championship contenders right there at 50 points versus 66 of Isaac Lead in the Williams alongside Rens Thomas. And then for the Haas cars, we've got Victor Whittler and Steven Vaso. Red Bulls have got Boba and the new name of Oleg Napadovsky. The Alpines once again occupied by Campbell Adams and Valentino Labella. I believe the ready up sign has been given because the countdown is just starting and Francesco is still not back in. So let's hope he'll join us very soon.
Absolutely. Let's get into qualifying then, and let's get the drama to begin. But yeah, let's go. Japan, what a circuit it is, and I think, yeah, like I said earlier, qualifying bit ever so important, like any circuit. I'm guessing the switch over. I'm guessing radio design has not been said, so yeah, we're gonna just wait a little bit longer. But yeah, I'm guessing the strategy will just be a 1-stop, a medium hard. But I know obviously on a few different tracks on the game, you throw a few curveballs in the next tire where it can be extra high, and it could be a 2-stop. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what strategies as well when we get into the race. But I mean, anything's up in arms if anyone goes for a 2-stop. It just depends on, I think, how many laps there is around Japan. I can't remember how many there is, but
27.
Yeah, if it is just going to be a 1-stop. 27? I'm guessing it's going to be a 1-stop.
Yeah, it's definitely a 1-stop. I've driven here as well, and it's easily a 1-stop. A 2-stop is a whole lot slower, about 10 to 12 seconds slower than doing a 1-stop. So here it's quite easy to do it. But whether the mediums or the hards are preferred at the start of the race, at the first stint, remains to be seen. So far, we've seen that most drivers prefer the medium to start with, to get a good away from the line, and then be fast in the first stint, and then take it a long time away in the second stint. 10 to 12 laps, I would give them, the medium tires, and then they will pretty much be dead. And then we're off to the hard tires. Looks like Francesco's having some real trouble getting back in. But I think it would be probably wise to get going. Otherwise, we'll be delayed by even more. And then the smooth running over to F2 and F4 later down the line, you might miss actually the connection, so to say, to them starting the race. So let's hope that within a minute or two, at most, we'll be getting started. But just allow us to have a little talk about the latest sponsor we've been adding to PSGL. We've now been sponsored by Sim Racing Setups, not to be confused with some other sim racing setup centers, so to say. Sim Racing Setups providing some good racing setups as per usual. And you can get 5% off if you use the code PSGL at their checkout. So make sure to have a little look right there and try to get a little bit faster with those fancy setups, because I feel like setups are pretty key this game, and I'm not sure if the ideal setup for every track has been figured out just yet.
Yeah, it evolves game by, well, the further you go into the game. So yeah, I feel like as soon as we get to like December, maybe January next year, then I think that's when we'll reach peak setup time. But it always makes it interesting. It always ramps everyone up the further we go through the game. And obviously on this game as well, it's so important to get a good setup, and it can really make your whole race day so much better. So yeah, let's see if anyone's nailed it today, and if anyone impresses. But I think we are getting to the lobby now.
Yep, I believe so as well. And of course, many drivers joined by their engineers to coach them through the session. Probably the same people they're working together with to get the ideal car setup going. which is, of course, as we just said, very crucial. Depends also on the weather that's coming up, because Japan, of course, can have some rain here and there. So maybe that might throw a spanner in the works of the drivers coming up. We'll know very soon. They are now picking their tire allocations. I'd say it's safe to put the hard tire choice. So 1 set of medium tires, 2 set of hards. That's the safest way to go, especially if a safety car comes out. You would rather go for a set of tires that lasts just a little bit longer, slower at the start, but much quicker by the end of it, and be safe by that point. Either way, I believe it's time at long last to switch to the race. Let's see what's going on out of track. It's completely clear, the sky. That's perfectly fine for the drivers. And therefore, qualifying will certainly be dry. The race remains to be seen. 19 drivers in. Francesco Lago still not yet there. I believe he's just had to reset his entire PC. So let's hope he'll be joining us soon. One of the McLarens, I believe, is first to join the track.
Yes, let's see who that one is. I think both of them coming out anyway, and that's Judy Brescan and Tomasetto Alaya. Both of them out on track, and it's Tomasetto who is out first and just making his way around turn number 1 and turn number 2. But yeah, a track full of iconic corners. Obviously got the S's up turn number 3, 4, 5, 6, and finally at turn number 7, which ends at Dunlop curve, the long left-hander. Then you throw it into the Degner curves, and at turn number 8 and turn number 9, which can really throw and catch you out. If you go a little bit too deep onto the curve, you can get stuck on the curb and go a little bit too deep. So yeah, let's keep a watch there. Then turn 11, the hairpin. You might see an overtake or 2 left. You get a good exit out of the Degners, especially on lap number 1. And when you head up to Spoon Curve, very tricky to stick it down the inside and keep it around the outside or down the inside into turn number 14. And obviously you fly down the back straight into the iconic 130R, then into the Casio Triangle. And you'll see a few moves there if you get close enough at 130R. But main overtakes should be down to turn 1 with that DRS, and only one DRS zone on this Suzuka Japanese circuit. And yeah, it's going to be very tricky to overtake. But let's see who can nail it in qualifying. Absolutely fantastic track, full of all sorts of corner types, and absolutely all here for it. But yeah, it's going to be both the McLarens who set their first lap times when they cross the line. Tomasetto out first, very Judy Brescan. There's a whole gaggle of cars coming out behind.
It's quite busy out there. Only 2 remaining in. Stephen Vaso having retired. I believe he might have to serve a qualifying ban. Or maybe he wants last to first challenges for the fun of it. Tom Robertson still in there as well. But Tomasetto Ilia, indeed, the first of the 2 McLarens to start his hot lap. Just join him on board and see how he does through turn number 1, which is fittingly named First Turn, as well as the hairpin of turn 11, which is called Hairpin. So very original names around here in Suzuka. But yeah, very iconic track indeed. It's a complete package, this track, isn't it? It's got a little bit of everything. It's the only figure 8 circuit on the calendar as well, as Tomasetto Ilia has just managed to go through the S curves quite nicely. Through Dunlop then, all the way towards the Degner curves, turn 8 and turn 9 coming up right there. And the first sector done already. 31.294. Nice and stable does it. I've seen some drivers struggle here in turn 8 and 9 on this year's game, going a little bit too wide, a bit too much understeer, I'd say, but so far Ilia is doing a fine job indeed. Many other drivers now having started the hot laps as well, so the lap times will be flooding in very soon indeed. But for now though, staying on board with Tomasetto Ilia. Right behind him is Tudor Presican. Let's see how closely matched the 2 McLarens are going to be. Neither of them in the championship fight, and there's the lap time of Ilia Don as he goes wide twice. In fact, he nearly goes completely off the track right there. A little bit of drama to spice things up for him. So swapping our attention now to Tudor Presican.
Yeah, just making his way down to 130, but overstepped his mark slightly. Did Alaya, and yeah, that was just on the exit of Spoon Curve at turn number 14. Took a bit too much curb and got on the power a little bit too early. But Judy Brescan is heading his way through the Casio Triangle and to the line. DRS wide open. And what's it going to be? It's a 26.286. Let's see behind who can beat it. We've got the Mercedes crossing the line now. I don't know if that's start of lap as Ryan Modler puts it at the top of the times with 26.0. Goes 2 tenths clear at the top. And then Tomasz Kokeny puts it into P2. Just a tenth behind. Then, there we go. That's a debutant of Napadovsky. Heading to the top spot. I mean, that's a fantastic opening statement for the Red Bull. Lovely job.
That is a strong lap time to start with. At 25.857 is something of a statement there as the new guy in the group. And he's certainly going to make an impression with the other drivers and engineers as well, as he's now occupying the front slot of the lot. Isaac Leeds, championship leader, now posted the 4th fastest time. I'm going to try and find Gregory Pritzibel. I believe he's still on his way. There he is. He's about to head to 130R as he just finishes the second sector, 1 minute 9.089. As he's taking a strange line through there. I'm not sure if he's actually pushing right now. As Campbell Adams goes even faster than Napadovsky with a 25.7. So the lap times are rapidly coming down. And Gregory Pritzibel is going to finish his lap time right here. It's a 26.1, which is only good enough for P9. Let's hope for his sake that doesn't mean he's back into struggling mode. For now, down to P10 is Francesco Lago. Thankfully, back in the lobby with a 25.961. 9 milliseconds behind Zalan Bieder. 4/100ths of a second ahead of Valentina Labella. Then Philippe Sousa, that is Pritzibel's teammate, has invalidated his lap time a bit further back. It's Tom Roberts currently going through Spoon. And Tomasetto Ilia probably heading back into the pit lane. Yes, he does. And Roberts there, invalidating too. So several drivers struggling through the Spoon. And Degner, I think, are the most notorious corners to go wide.
Yeah, absolutely. I did also see Francesco Lago getting a really good slipstream, I think by a Red Bull, down the back straight, which obviously helped him elevate to P5. So yeah, that was just before 130R. So yeah, up to P5. Let's keep an eye on if he can improve from that. And if he gets a further slipstream later on in qualifying. But yeah, at the moment, Campbell Adams at the top of the times, 25.7. Quite a strong opening lap there. 10.5 clear. Other debutant, Oleg Napadovsky. And yeah, it's a very strong opening lap that to start your F3 career. Enzo Soom in P3, then it's Zalan Bieder in P4. And then it is Francesco Lago in P5. But yes, let's see who comes out for the second runs first. But yeah, still a long way to go in qualifying. First one's completed. And yeah, everyone just getting settled in now. But yeah, like you said, track limits might just become an issue at the end of qualifying, maybe in the race as well. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see if everyone comes back into the pit lane.
Yeah, 5 drivers unable to set a lap time yet. One of them is Wojtek Steg, who apparently cannot take control after reconnecting to the lobby. So that is very annoying for him. Let's hope he's able to rejoin the control at the race. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough one for him. Potentially losing a lot of points. His teammate hasn't posted a lap time either, so both Ferraris at the bottom of the table at the moment. The McLarens not doing a great job at the moment either. To the press again, only 13 fastest with a 26.286. Tomasetto Ilia with a lap time, of course, and I believe he's the first to go back out. It's actually, never mind, it's to the press again himself. He's going to try again and find some improvement here and there. Tom Roberts, what's he doing? I believe he's about to head back into the pit lane. Those tires usually last about 1 good lap. And then you'll have to put another set under your car right there to try again. So then, it's slowly coming together. There's still plenty of time, just under 11 minutes. Let's hope Wojtek Steg can fix his issues. And let's see what Tudor Presigan and Boba can do as they are the first out on track for the second run.
Yeah, Boba just heading down to 130R now. Hasn't got a lap time on the board just yet. So it came out a little bit earlier for just before everyone starts their second runs. It could be an all-important lap. Get underway at the end of qualifying. But here comes Boba as we head towards the line. And let's see if they can finally get a lap on the board. As we head on the route down to turn number 1. What's time going to be as you throw it straight into here. Flat out, pretty much halfway through turn 1 and turn number 2, and the entry to there done relatively nicely. Heading through the S's now. Big left, right, taking curbs on the left hand side. Just a slight tap at each curb, but hitting all apexes relatively nicely through 5th gear as we climb past Dunlop curve. Slight little wiggle, but it's all right for Boba. Just needs to get a slap on the board as we head into the Degner curves now. Throws it in here, keeps it nicely between the white lines, very close and touch and go with the curb. But as we head down to the hairpin at turn number 11, heavy on the brakes, slightly deep, but rolls it through and gets on the power. And Boba flying through now to Spoon curve around 200R. And yeah, relatively clean in the first and second sector, but it's all about keeping it clean now in the Spoon curve as we head through the double left-hander. Has done it relatively nicely on the curb and keeps it nicely within track limits. So yes, could be an all-important lap just to get a delta on for his next run. And yeah, Boba just heading down to 130R now.
Yeah, I'm not sure how these drivers feel about the Delta, but I find myself being a lot faster if I've got something to work to. So putting on that banker lap is quite important, and Boba is about to do so as he goes through the Casio triangle one more time. The chicane indeed, round the last corner, turn 18 across the line. It's at 26.7. Ooh. That is, I think, a bit of a disappointment for the man in the Red Bull. He's quite far away from the next guy ahead, Daniel Kaier, with a 26.3. That is a 2.5 tenths of a 3.5 tenths, I should say, of a difference right there. So not a brilliant start for the man in the Red Bull. Let's see who else is on the way. Zalan Bieder in the top 4 at the moment. The only drive to start of the hot lap. Oleg Napadovsky just came across the line to do himself the same thing there. And now let's see if Zalan Bieder can improve and beat his teammate. He's 7/100ths of a second exactly away from Enzo Zoom. And just posted the purple first sector, which isn't a surprise, because that is almost a 10th quicker than he originally was. So he's headed quickly towards provisional pole position, and I'm hoping that he's able to improve a little bit more up there. Campbell Adams still occupies that pole position at the moment. He's doing an extraordinary job once again, and neither championship contender at the top 2 are anywhere close to this fight. Oh, there goes Alan Bieder off the track in Spoon once again. The killer corner, I have to say, is doing it once more, this time for the Hungarian in the Aston Martin. He's gonna have to try again later. And now we're swapping our attention to Oleg.
Yeah, improved in that first sector, I believe, as well. And now heading through the second sector and around Spoon Curve. Keeps it nicely on the curb on the exit. There's a nice little Red Bull on the inside. Tries to nick a slipstream, but nothing really going there. It was very close and touch and go. But yeah, down actually by 400th of a second as we now head into the Casio triangle. Heavy on the brakes, down to third gear, over both curbs and back on the power as we go downhill to the line. What's it going to be for the debutant? Napadovsky comes across the line, does improve position onto the front row and just above Tomasetto Alaya.
And so soon, the other Aston Martin does improve, gets very close to Campbell Adams on provisional pole. Let's actually watch the Australian right here. Just went through hairpin, turn 11 to be precise. And he was a little bit slower in sector 1. He's currently half a tenth only clear from Enzo Zoom, who's doing a great job right there as well. Oleg Napadovsky, of course, did occupy the front row on the first run, then a little bit on the second run, and then there was Zoom being quicker through the round altogether. 77 milliseconds quicker than for Campbell Adams. Once again, it looks like he's going to improve his lap time to find a 25.6 or perhaps more. Depends on how he does through the chicane. 2 more corners to go, 1 more corner to go. This is turn 18, the final one. And then across the line, a little bit of grass to pick up there as well. And it does improve. He loses time, though, in the final sector. And therefore, the improvement is not as big as he probably would have liked. But he does go into the 25.6s, which is a great achievement indeed. Let's see anybody else on his way at the moment. Perhaps Isaac Lead going fast. Yes, he does. He's about to go through Dagner right here. Just finished the first sector. He needs to improve because I believe Gregory Pritzibel has improved massively. Yes, he has. He's improved all the way to P4, 1 millisecond behind Enzo Zoom. So Isaac Lead has definitely got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I think he's backed out of this lap is Isaac Lead. So that's one down and he's quite some way on Gregory Pritzibel. And yeah, it's a good improvement from Gregory into the top 4. And Isaac Lee might be under a bit of pressure when we get to the final runs, unless he goes for a back-to-back run, but that's very unlikely with these soft tyres and the tyre wear on this game. Wojtek Steg is out of the session, so it's a shame for him. He couldn't get back in control of that car. And yeah, it's a shame, but we'll see what he can do from the back of the grid in the race. But yeah, I think that's most of the second runs done. I think everyone out there is about to go into the pit lane and wait for their final runs. And Campbell Adams looking very strong at the top by around 300th of a second. Tom Roberts, then it's Enzo Zoom, Gregory Pritzibel, and Victor Widler, who rounds out the top 5. I want to see now what Napadovsky can do in that final run. On his debut, looked very strong in the first runs, not too bad in the second, but now it's all about the final runs, what times he got in the locker. But yeah, still relatively close, and anybody's game, they've got the time, and if they can find the time, and extract every single millisecond out of each corner here at Suzuka. But yeah, only time will tell as second run's done. And yeah, Isaac Lee definitely got some ground to make up.
Absolutely, only in P12 at the moment, which is far from ideal if you're the championship leader, and only 6 points clear from the man in second place and 16 from the man in third, and the man in third just happens to be on the front row, and the man in second happens to be on the second row, and there you're sitting in P12, so definitely he's going to have to try and find a little bit extra. It's only 3 milliseconds to Ryan Modler, but then again, it's 4 milliseconds to Valentino Labella, who's just behind him at the moment. It's incredibly tight between these three. But pole position, yep, it's definitely still Campbell Adams's, but Tom Roberts is no longer that far away. He's gone really quick in his second run, so there's still all to play for. And I wouldn't be surprised, Alex, if indeed Oleg might become a debutant pole sitter, because he's looking quite quick out of the gate, but perhaps somebody else can throw something in the works for him. Victor Whittler at the moment, P5 with a 25.813. Tomasz Kokeny not too far behind either. I think there's a lot of drivers here in F3 who might take pole position tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As Napadovsky also doesn't really have anything to lose. He's obviously not a championship challenger. He's debutant now near the end of the season. So, yeah, nothing out there. No real pressure to perform. And he's already doing a great job at the start of qualifying to get into the top 6. So, yeah, obviously it's very high commitment layout, I've got to say. Narrow flowing. And definitely punishes mistakes, as it is very technical. But, I mean, let's see what he can do in the final runs. And, yeah, this qualifying is definitely not over. Campbell Adams is going to be put under a lot of pressure by the guys behind. There's 2 minutes 50 remain. We've got cars coming out on track. It's going to get very active in the pit lane as we head into the final runs in qualifying. Everything's heating up. And who's going to be the one to take pole position here at Suzuka? And only time will tell. Who's got it in them? Who's got a lap? And who's got the pace? Let's do this.
In the meanwhile, in Discord, Wojtek Steger's issues are hopefully going to be resolved in the race, as the qualifying will not restart for the issues of one person, apparently. So that's what it is. However, if he can't take control in the race either, we will have a restart. So let's see what happens there. Just hope that Wojtek will be able to control his car once the race comes by. But for now, though, he'll be starting from the last row alongside Stephen Vasa, who hasn't qualified either. Everybody else has put in the lap time. Boba currently about half a second away from Tudor Presican, so there's definitely a lot of pressure for him, as well as for the championship contenders and those fighting for pole position. Enzo Zoom is currently the first to get going. Right behind him is, it's not Campbell Adams, it's the other Alpine of Valentino Labella. He's the second driver to start a hot lap very soon indeed, but we're going to have to swap our attention to Enzo Zoom, a potential pole sitter tonight as well. He's only 8/100ths of a second clear, and he is going to start his hot lap right now. Across the line he goes. We'll keep an eye on several drivers, as many as possible, especially those who are important to the championship. Tom Roberts, Prutsibil, Isaac Lead, of course, and Campbell Adams as well, as they are the top 4 at the moment in the championship. Victor Whittler from Ryan Modler actually is P5, but he's almost 30 points behind at the moment. And remember, here in PSGL, the driver to finish first doesn't get 25 points, no. They get 16 points, followed by 11 in second place. So there's a lot less points to give out, and therefore every single one of them counts. There is still points, though, for the fastest lap, and I believe even for pole position. So those could be the crucial ones to count tonight. 42 milliseconds for Enzo Zoom in Sector 1. Quicker than he was in his previous attempt. Once again, sliding a little bit through a hairpin. Campbell Adams has started his hot lap now as well, right behind Enzo Zoom. It is Valentino Labella just went through the hairpin as well, but we're still keeping an eye on Zoom as he goes through the spoon curves. Can he stay within the white lines? Yes, he can, at least for now. Coming out of the corner right there, still a brilliant job by him so far. So let's see how he does then at the end of sector number 2. Is it an improvement? Still it is, but quite the margin indeed. At the moment, Enzo Zoom is on his way to provisional pole position. And let's see if he can keep it up through the chicane. No mistakes here, perhaps. No, it's all looking nice and dandy. And then the one final corner. And then all he needs to do is go across the line. It is a 25.632. And now he's occupying that provisional pole position. But there's still every single other driver in qualifying still on their way. A lot of them right there. Campbell Adams, for example, currently going through 130R purple middle sector. His teammate Valentino Labella has improved all the way up to P6. That is going to be his best position. Oleg Napandowski does it. He does go once again to provisional pole position. Can Campbell Adams ruin his party? No, he can't. He goes into second place. Up next then, perhaps Tom Roberts can do something about it. And let's see how Isaac Lead is doing. He's crossing the line. Can only improve to P11. Disaster for the championship leader. Francisco Lago up to P7. One of the RB cars next across the line. I believe that's Tomasz Kokony. P11. Up next, one of the Sauber drivers, I think, is just crossed the line. It's Ryan Mottler, only P14. That isn't brilliant. Tom Roberts is about to finish his lap as well. Is he then the one to spoil Napodowski's debut party? Gregory Protziebel, I believe, is still on his way, right behind Tom Roberts. Tom Roberts crossing line and going slow. He's abandoned his lap. He's not going to take pole position then. Gregory Protziebel, he does not improve, stays in 7th. So who's going to do it then? Nobody does. And our debutant, Oleg Napodowski, does take pole position right here. Absolutely brilliant.
That is absolutely unbelievable. What a lap from Oleg Napodowski on debut, and that is some statement, especially at the track like Suzuka. I mean, wow, absolutely fantastic. What a lap. And that is commitment, and that is no pressure and pure confidence. Fantastic from Napodowski. Pole position, Campbell Adams will be alongside on that front row, but wow. Fantastic effort.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no words. This is extraordinary. Debutant and straight out of the gate, pole position. Let's see if he can convert that one into a win, because right behind him, there are some very eager drivers for big points. Of course, Campbell Adams, Tom Roberts, Gregory Protziebel from P7, and Isaac Lead only from P11. They want these big points. They want the win from this man who's got nothing in the championship at all at the moment, and probably won't be getting any chance for the title because he's joined this late down the line. But further down, the results are as follows. Rens Thomas in P5, Thomas at Ilya P6, Gregor Protziebel, as I said, P7, and Francisco Lago P8, Victor Whitler in P9, then Valentino Labella, Presica in P11, Bieder P12, then Kokony, Collier, Isaac Lead, P15 actually, since he's been pushed down even more. What an absolute disaster there, Alex, for the championship leader.
Absolutely, he's got a lot of ground to make up, and a track that is very difficult to overtake. And overtaking on this game is already quite difficult, but Isaac Lee's got his work cut out for him today. And if he doesn't have the pace in this race, it's gonna show. And wow, he's got a lot of ground to make up. This is going to be a struggle if he can't get a move on or go for something different. And he needs a fantastic race if he wants to gain up a few more places and challenge the guys that he really is in the fight within the championship. But it's a huge gap. And heading into the race, I mean, questions are going to be asked on what can happen to him and what his race can behold. But you never know. That is the art of league racing. Anything can happen. But I tell you what, it's going to be a struggle.
I wonder if he's going to choose the alternative tire strategy. Usually we see drivers start on the mediums, then go to the hards. And he might just opt for a vice versa strategy. So hards to mediums. In the meantime, Wojtek Steg says he can actually load a setup, which is brilliant news. So I think everything is going to be fine. No restart necessary. The only downside, of course, for him, he starts from P19. But I think he's going to have to be happy that he's going to be starting at all tonight, even though it is from the back of the field. For Stephen Vaso, the only driver behind him, we do know Stephen Vaso to have suffered from many, many issues in the past few races. So let's hope that for once tonight, the man in the Haas can have a clean race without any disconnects or lag or issues from steering wheels, etc. We'll have to wait and see. So yeah, Alex, who's going to be our winner tonight?
I want to say a debut win, to be honest. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Just let the stars align and let's see it happen. But it's going to be a tricky one, obviously, with people in Championship Challenge as well. They're going to be getting their elbows out, to say the least, especially on a debutant, let them know who they are. But yeah, Napodowski, I'd love to see him win this race, to be honest, from pole position. But like I said, anything can happen. His strategy is up for question still. But yeah, most likely going to be medium hard today, as expected. But let's see what Napodowski can do straight off the line, and can he lead for the 26 laps.
Here we go. The lights are coming on right now. The first light was already on when we started, but 5 lights on and off they go. And we're once again now starting in round 9 here for Japan in the F3 series with Oleg Napodowski coming off the line brilliantly, fending off Campbell Adams for P1 right there as they headed to the first corner. Many drivers going side by side. Several swaps happening left, right and center. Rens Thomason already overtaken by Tomasetto Ilya as Ilya now heads into P5. And it looks like everybody's gone through safe and sound. Isaac Lead though, absolute disaster. And it's just got even worse for him. He's now down to last position, and he has indeed started on the hard tires. Let's actually swap the tire details right here. 5 drivers have opted for the hard tires right there. Tom Roberts is the only driver in the top 5 to have done so, and he's still hanging on to that 4th position. So let's see how they are going to play out. But that's the championship leader on the alternate tire strategies. Like, he's actually listened to us, even though we're not really race engineers. But so far, everybody's gone through quite safely. Enzo Zoom still in 3rd position. And there's Boba out of the race. He's retired, I think. Not on track as in a crash, but he's just retired somehow.
Huh. I don't know how that's happened, but Boba is out of the race and just 200 out there. I'm not sure what happened to his car. But perfect start then for Oleg Napadovsky. Davidson today, pole sitter today, and out front by 6/10 as we head on to lap number 2. Campbell Adams in P2. Both of them with a relatively clean start at the front, but obviously you've seen that battling behind at turn number 11. And let's see if it happens yet again as we head on to lap 2 now, the second tour of the circuit out of 27. Oleg leads it. Then under pressure behind, Enzo Zoom putting the pressure on Campbell Adams. This could be a close one. Early doors in the race, and also Tudor Prescan under pressure from Salam Bader at the moment. But yeah, Isaac Lee, horrendous start, has gone for the offset strategies. Felipe Sousa makes a move on Daniel Kaya down at turn number 1 up to P15.
Yep, he's moving up a little bit. Let's see how the position swaps are coming along. Ryan Mottler, Philippe Sousa have made up 2 positions. Same goes for Wojtek Steg and Steven Vaso. Thomas Elia and Valentino Labella have both gained 1 position since the race start, and there is a few drivers who've lost positions, including Isaac Lead. Everybody else has remained stable, including the entire top 4. Tom Roberts so far has been doing a good job keeping up to the top 3, even though he's on the hard tires. You can see the gap between himself and the car ahead is a little bit bigger than everybody else's gaps, but it's not hampering him whatsoever. He will still have DRS come the next main straight at the start of lap 3, since DRS has been enabled right now. The gaps between the top 3 are getting quite small there. Enzo Zoom is definitely putting on some pressure to Campbell Adams. He's really staying onto his gearbox pretty much as he's trying to force the Australian into a mistake. But so far so good, as Francesco Lago is going to go side by side with the man in 2nd place in the standings. Gregory Potsibel is feeling the pressure from the reserve driver in the Sauber, but he's going to have to yield for now. Lago is, because Potsibel is staying ahead for the time being with perhaps an opportunity in the chicane. He's having a little look, but he's not having a go just yet, and staying behind for the time being. A bit further up the field, it's Thomas Elia properly putting Tom Roberts under pressure. I'm not sure if Tom Roberts is going to fight this one. He knows his tires will have the advantage later down the line, and it actually looks like he's picked a lower downforce setup because he's simply just zooming away from the McLaren right there.
Oh, wow, interesting stuff then for low downforce on this circuit as well. But yeah, at the moment, some moves being made free as, let's see if we have the same as we head around the circuit once again. But yeah, Enzo Zoom has put the pressure on Campbell Adams early doors. Probably waiting for a mistake there, but Campbell Adams didn't do much wrong. And staying around 5/10 behind Oleg Napadovsky. But yeah, the midfield is definitely hotting up. Obviously, a few inverted tyre strategies at the back of the grid now from Wojtek Steg downwards. And yeah, at the moment, the middle is heating up. And I think, is anyone going to go for moving to number 11? I think everyone's staying behind and relatively unscathed at this point of view. But yeah, I think now people are going to try and settle in a little bit more and wait for the pit stops to come, unless you're in the middle of the pack. And like Gregor Pagibel or Francesco Lago, he wants to try and make up a bit of ground into that top 5. But at the moment, yeah, I'm going to expect everything to calm down a little bit more in this race and let the pit strategies do their thing. It's going to be a lot difficult to overtake now in that dirty air, and everyone in that long train all the way down to P16. So yeah, see what can happen as we head on to lap number 4.
Yep, Daniel Kyer missing both end plates on his front wing. So once again, he's been involved into an incident. He's been letting everybody pass, and I wouldn't be surprised if he retires at the end of this lap. Isaac Lead now up into P18, but still way out of the points, because the next car ahead of him is 2 seconds clear from Wojtek Steg, who himself is also not within DRS range of the next car. So they are definitely in trouble, even though Wojtek Steg has just posted the fastest lap of the race on his hard tires, which is quite impressive indeed. At the top of the field, it remains stable still. Enzo Zoom is still trying to force the Australian Campbell Adams into a mistake. Debutant Oleg Napadovsky is still leading the race on his medium tires right there. Let's see when Tom Roberts' tires are going to come into play. It will take another 3 or 4 laps perhaps until he gets the upper hand in terms of tire performance. He just got the first sector as purple right there, so he's definitely already starting to heat up. But look at that, through the hairpin already, pretty much on the gearbox of Enzo Zoom. So he's definitely already trying to put on some extra pressure to the top 3, and perhaps showing that his tires might be in working conditions already, even though we're only 4 laps in. It's definitely looking like the hard tires are starting to come to life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite surprising so early in the race as well. But now I want to know, how long are they going to last and what is the undercut going to be like? And that a much more technical circuit as well. I think the extra grip is definitely going to help when they go on to the harder compound tyres from the mediums. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the undercut and how far behind the likes of Tom Roberts will come out to the likes of Oleg, Campbell Adams, Enzo Soom, Thomas Settle, everybody else on the mediums, and if it is feasible to close in the final stints. And yeah, I feel like the likes of Wojtek Steg, Isaac Lee especially, they're gonna struggle because they're already some margin behind the main pack. And yeah, when that gap extends, when they come into the pit lane for the medium compact tyre, it's going to be a heck of an amount to close, and might even be impossible to close that gap, get any sort of points in this race. But I think Tom Roberts is obviously in the best position out of all the hard runners, and he's running a very impressive job to do so in the first 5 laps. And now tyres going to reward and become in his favour for, well, until the mediums reach the end of their stint.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what he can do in terms of a potential race victory. It would be healthy for his championship. He's currently closest with Campbell Adams in terms of points. They're not that far behind each other at the moment. 23 points for Campbell to the championship leader, and Tom Roberts, or it's vice versa actually. I believe it is. Either way, they're 3rd and 4th in the standings, and they are closely matched at the moment. Gregory Petsibel, the man in 2nd place, will be happy to know that Isaac Lead is struggling hard, but be a little bit unhappy that his other rivals are ahead of him at the moment, and he's struggling to get past. In fact, a few laps ago he had Francesco Lago all over him, trying to get past. Fortunately for him, that didn't quite work out, and now everybody is pretty much stuck in the eternal DRS train that we've come to know and not so much love in this F1 25 game. Thomas Cockney is leaving a little bit of a gap to Zalen Bieder, closest again through the chicane, but the gaps are pretty much 1 second to another driver all round. Wojtek Steg has almost closed up to the group ahead. Steven Vaso is trying to do the same thing. Isaac Lead still struggling to get past, and Daniel Kyer with his broken front wing is nowhere to be seen anymore. He's now nearly 5 seconds behind the rest of the field, and I feel like he's hoping for a safety car somewhere. We can see Rens Thomason in the meantime trying to get back at Thomas Ilia to regain his original starting position of P5. Getting awfully close through the S-curves, but Deckner curve, that's where he loses out again. Although he still tries to keep the pressure. Oh, what's going on? It's Enzo Soom. He's in the wall. He's completely in the wall in the Deckner curve out of turn 9. Absolute disaster for the man in 3rd place. And he's fallen all the way down, out of the points, out of DRS. And he's going to join Daniel Kyer as the cars who are damaged at the back of the field.
Wow. Absolutely. Well, Enzo Soom, race unravelled, and that. I mean, like I said earlier, the Degner curves can be lethal. You go a bit too deep into turn number 8 and a bit too deep into turn number 9, and that just makes the car ski across the curve and into the barrier. And that's exactly what just happened to Enzo Soom, and that's his race well and truly over at the back of the grid. Unless it's some sort of safety car running so well in this race, it's disappointment for Enzo Soom to make that type of mistake. But the grip is just unravelling now for the hard runners and the medium runners. Their tyre life is coming to an end, and I think that's just one of them mistakes from Enzo Soom at the loss of grip. But here comes now Campbell Adams to take Davidson, Oleg Napogovsky, and that is fantastic. Just easily right around through and put the pressure on lap, and finally gets the move done on lap number 7. Campbell Adams, new race leader, Napogovsky in P2, and he's definitely going to be destined to fire through. But there's Enzo Soom out of the race on lap number 7. Disaster to end, and Enzo Soom, who was battling maybe even for the race win, out on lap number 7.
Yeah, I do notice that, Alex, you're cutting out here and there for some reason. Perhaps Discord is having some hiccups, but yeah, we're missing some of your commentary, unfortunately. I hope it's fixable. In the meantime, indeed, Enzo Soom out of the race. Tom Roberts is now going to try and pressure the top 2 instead of the top 3. Ooh, he nearly went into the back right there of Napadovsky's Red Bull, as he realized that he had a little bit more grip going through the hairpin. Thankfully was able to take evasive action a little bit, braking a little harder than he normally would have liked to do. Thomas Ilia still hanging on to P4. Rens back into P5, his original starting position, due to Enzo Soom's misery, who's now all and completely out of the race. I'm surprised Daniel Kyer is still going. Let's see if he finds something to get back into the race, but it's looking ever so more unlikely. He's now 8 seconds behind Isaac Lead in 17th place. And yeah, there's still a lot to play for. We're still only on lap 7, and the first pit stops are just a few laps away to go for the hard tires. And then Tom Roberts will be your race leader.
Yep, he absolutely will. And yeah, all depends on the pit stops now, but the medium runners will start to come in now. I'd like to see Francesco Lagos, Alan Bida, Thomas Kokeni, Felipe Sousa. Let's see where they come out now and how far behind and what the undercut will be. And if it does positively impact their race from now on. But Campbell Adams, let's see when he comes into the pit lane and if Napadovsky just follows him in. But yes, it's now a game for Tom Roberts to push as hard as he can at the end of his hard stint to reduce the deficits that will be when he comes out for his second stint. But yeah, long game now for Tom Roberts. And let's see if these guys at the front come into the pit lane on the mediums on lap number 8 then.
Interesting that Lago, Bida and Kokoni and Sousa pitted so early. I'm actually quite surprised, to be honest, because I feel like the mediums could easily last it until lap 10, but perhaps they felt like the big undercut is the way to go, but now they're going to have to go extremely long, 20 laps on the hard tires. It's doable, but by the end of it, even with tire saving, it's going to be an issue nonetheless. So let's hope for their sakes it was the right choice to make. 4 drivers now having pitted for fresh hard tires. They're now at the back of the field. They're going to try and attempt an undercut, and you can already see Tom Roberts there putting on proper pressure to Oleg Napadovsky, who's been passed by Campbell Adams, who appears to be a whole lot faster and decides to go around for another lap. Same goes for the rest, except for Tomasetto Ilya and several others. Rens Thomason coming in as well for some hard tires right there and trying to put the undercut to the top 3, which might be potentially in trouble from them. Let's see how they reply to that at the end of this lap. As in the chat it is said, Enzo is always so unlucky, and I feel like that is actually true. We've seen him struggling a lot with bad luck incidents, everything like that in the races recently, and retiring from many of them. He was actually on for a podium, which of course is a big shame for him to go out of the race like that. Either way, we're going to have to focus on these drivers. Gregory Pritzibel has now got some gap to cover to the top 3. Some drivers ahead of him went out of the way, so now he can try and close the gap. It looks like he's actually got some tire life to spare to close that gap to within 1 second, as he's actually reducing it to now under 1 second. There he goes, and a brilliant hairpin corner right there from him allows him to get in DRS range, and the man in second place in the standings could suddenly find himself up for a fight for the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, definitely closing in to the guys ahead of him who might just be a little bit more dirtier than him. But yeah, he's going to get the DRS down the start finish rate, depending on if he does come into the pit lane. But yeah, like you said, the half came in very, very early. So, I mean, that's a long shot for the hard compound tyres. Obviously, they can make it, but there probably will be punch territory on 20-lap old hards. But, I mean, only time will tell, really, if they do stop again or, yeah, it's now to the end. But Campbell Adams, race leader, he's just peeled into the pit lane.
Yeah, he also nearly peeled off his entire tires because he had to brake so hard he locked up completely coming in. Thankfully for him, no 10-second time penalty there as he puts on the hard tires as well at the end of lap 9. Off he goes into the distance for what is likely for him to be a one-stop. I think the rest is going to try for a one-stop as well, but they'll have to do a lot of tire saving. Here's Tomasetto Ilya leading the group of drivers who've just pitted for the first and only time. Are they going to get any closer to Campbell Adams? They do get close, but not quite close enough. It is 1.4 seconds. Daniel Kyer is right in the middle of this group, and they're all desperate to get past because he's an absolute moving obstacle through the corners. Look at that, how much time he's starting to lose to Tomasetto Ilya. Francisco Lago and Rens Thomason cannot find a way past. They're going to have to make their move soon, otherwise they'll lose connection, and this might cause some dangerous situations. Daniel Kyer, while he is moving out of the way now, made it very difficult for them to pass. They became a little bit impatient, but thankfully for them, no big issues right there, as they now have a 1.6 second gap to Tomasetto Ilya. That is potentially disastrous.
Oh, wow. And now he's holding up the likes of Valentino Labella, Zalambida, Tomasz Kokeni, Victor Whittler, Ryan Modler. All these guys in this train, all getting held up now by the man with no end place on each side of that front wing, who's still out there, probably hoping for a safety car as well. He's on hard compound tyres, so yeah, just wearing absolutely no man's land at the moment. Oleg Napadovsky into the pit lane then. Let's see if Campbell Adams has done a successful undercut and how much by as he makes his way around 130. Yeah, Valentino Labella makes his move now around Daniel Kyer, and coming out of the pit lane now is Napadovsky. Campbell Adams just comes out of the Casio triangle and he's making his way down the start-finish straight. So here we go, Gregory PSGL and Napadovsky heading out the pit lane. And what's the gap going to be to Campbell Adams, who there he goes down to turn number 1. Napadovsky comes out the pit lane. It might just come over a second by the time he gets those tyres up to temperature.
Yeah, and there's Thomas Elia now all over the back of the Red Bull. He's definitely made up some ground. The 2 laps earlier pit stop have helped him for now. But of course, the pain might come down later in the race. So far then, the top 5, all of them started on the hard tyres, and they will remain on those hard tyres for a little while longer, I'm sure. Tom Roberts is the sole leader. He's got a lot of clear air right now. Time for him to stretch his legs and perhaps put in some extra pace that he might have saved as he was stuck behind those on the medium tyres. Same goes for Tutor Presican, Wojtek Steg, Steven Vaso, and even Isaac Lead now up in the top 5. And Isaac Lead is going to be praying hard for a safety car, because I feel like that is the only way right now to save his race, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, at the moment, it's also a shame for Daniel Kaya. I mean, it's just has been a disaster from the start, staying out of the pit lane. But yeah, Campbell Adams in P6 then is gaining quite a hefty margin now per lap to the top 5 at the moment. Isaac Lee, Steven Vaso, Wojtek Steg, Tudor Presican and Tom Roberts. I mean, Tom Roberts at the moment 3.5 seconds over Tudor Presican as well. He's still out on the hard compact tyres. And there goes Steven Vaso on Wojtek Steg, swapping positions, and up to P3 goes Vaso. And yeah, Wojtek Steg, I would have loved to see what he could do in qualifying, because I feel like he definitely has the pace, like we saw in that first stint as Rens Thomason makes a move on Gregory PSGL, and that man in the championship fight getting overtaken then from Thomason up into P9. And yeah, at the moment, yeah, like I was just saying, it's a shame that Wojtek Steg didn't get to qualify. I would have liked to know his pace, and he's had to obviously try the invert strategy to try and make it work. But yeah, at the moment, yeah, let's see if it works for him, but I just don't think it will. I don't think I'll have the time at the end to close in to the guys on the harder compounder tyres. And yeah, at the moment, struggling to battle with like Steven Vaso and Isaac Lee as well. Nice in this train together. But yeah, Tom Roberts, the gap is falling to that front back from Campbell Adams. 9.4 at the moment to Isaac Lee. It's closing around a second a lap.
Yep, I've just shown you guys the gap to the race leader from those who've pitted. Campbell Adams is now 18.8 seconds away from Tom Roberts, and that gap, of course, is shrinking as we speak. Rens Thomason, though, let's talk a bit about him, because he is, of course, Isaac Leed's teammate. He might actually try and play a role in helping his teammate back into the points fight somehow. One way or another, he's just overtaken Protibble, which is going to cause Protibble to score a little bit fewer points, which is definitely going to help out Isaac Lead by the end of this season, hopefully, as we see another overtake happening here and there. Isaac Lead now going for a move on Wojtek Steg, successfully doing so as he goes up into P4. Rens Thomason with another fastest lap of the race and another overtake right there. 1 lap later, this time against Tomasetto Ilia, and now he's going to try and open the hunt to what is soon to be the top 2 of this race. Campbell Adams and Oleg Napadovsky still going strong right there. They're only half a second apart from each other. And Rens Thomason has about 1.2 seconds to cover. And then he reaches the top 2. He's got brilliant pace on the hard tires. But he's one of those guys who pitted very early, 4 laps ago already, for this set of tires. So I hope he isn't pushing too hard. He's definitely pushing now. He's already connected now to the top 2 who have fresher tires than himself. And I think he's going to find himself with an open rear wing by the time we come around to the main straight again.
Absolutely, he's like a man possessed driving that car in the second stint. He's made 2 moves in 2 laps, and let's see if Napadovsky is going to be next as we head down the final stint once again. Closing the gap only to 5 tenths. He's closing and absolutely closing through every single corner. He is pushing so hard, and he's trying to make the most in the early phases, but he's looking so promising on these slightly older, harder compounded tyres. But yeah, Davidson up next to try and make this move. And 6 tenths the gap as you're heading to the Casio triangle, but he just looks so confident with the car, and he's pushing to the absolute limit. And yeah, when he gets the rear wing open like he will down to turn number 1, he actually nearly drops Tomasetto Ilia. I don't know if he did. No, he does just have that rear wing wide open, but yeah, it was very close. And Thomason is absolutely flying in this stint. But yeah, down the straight, I'm guessing Napadovsky might just use a bad trick. It's closing to the car ahead. And seems that Rens might just have a slightly higher downforce as you see it down the straight line. That's slightly affected there.
So far, so good then for Campbell Adams. He's now closed the gap to 17 seconds to Tom Roberts, who's still going strong on those hard tires. I feel like he'll do about 3 or 4 more laps and then swap to the medium tires all the way until the end of the race. And then we'll see how his pace is going to be compared to those who've been on the hard tires for quite a long time by that point, and which might have been just past their ideal point. Oleg Nabadovsky there nearly went for a move on the race, soon-to-be race leader. Rens Thomason still quite close by. Tomaseta Ilia barely hanging on to DRS range to Rens Thomason. It's a difficult challenge for him, it turns out to be, and Gregor Pitsibel is trying to up the pressure. He's got fresher tires at the moment, 2 laps difference between himself and Ilia, so he might take advantage from that one and push a little bit harder right now to make sure he gets past the McLaren before he gets out of DRS range, and then he can still give chase to what is potentially a win of this race. The top 5 then once again going around. Now their tires 14 laps old. We're about just halfway through the race. There's still everything to play for, and soon we'll see which strategy was better. Was it hard to medium or medium to hard?
Yeah, as Napadovsky going for a move now on Campbell Adams, and this might be... Campbell Adams has the inside line and defends the place. Gregor Pagibel is making a move now on Seto Alaya, who is struggling to keep in the DRS of Rens ahead. And Pagibel just benefits and makes a move up into P9, and that might be just to keep the pressure on the top 4, well, the theoretical top 4 as well. And yeah, that could be a crucial move for his rest of the race for Pagibel, who is now in the theoretical P4 position when the top 5 do come into the pit lane. But yeah, Campbell Adams defending now from Napadovsky, who's putting that pressure on in the mid of this second stint. As yeah, we are expecting the guys in the top 5 to pit in around a lap or 2. I'd say you want to be around lap 16, lap 17 anyway, so you have only a 10 lap shootout on the medium compound tyres, as that will be optimal for the rest of the race. And yeah, it's all going to be about what they can do and how quick the mediums are going to be and what the offset's going to bring for the top 5. Is it going to be enough to close in the gap? Only time will tell.
Victor Whitler showing Tomasz Kokony that he is potentially faster through the spoon curve especially. He's definitely putting on the pressure. They're not fighting for points at the moment. It might all change once drivers come in for the pit stops, and here they go to the press again then. First of the hard tyre users to pit. Same goes for Wojtek Steg. He's going to try and put an undercut to the other hard tyre users. They will of course fall back to the rear of the field, the tail end so to say, as Campbell Adams goes into P4 now. Only 3 drivers ahead of him remain on the old hard tires. The gap now shrunk to less than 15 seconds to Tom Roberts. Oleg Nabadovsky is still giving chase, and it looks like Tomaseta Ilia has now dropped completely from what is soon to be the top 4. So 4 cars at the moment fighting for the win, and soon they might be joined by those on fresh medium tires. Presikin, Wojtek Steg now 16th and 17th. I feel like, if my math is correct, that Tom Roberts, Isaac Lead, especially Tom Roberts, is going to be joining somewhere around the P10 or P9 positions. And then he's going to have to fight his way forward from there. He's not going to be then too far away from this group we're watching right now, with Campbell Adams leading that particular group. Tomaseta Ilia is 1.3 seconds now clear from Gregory Pitsibel. He's no longer able to keep up with the rest of that top 4. And he's going to have to look behind in his rearview mirrors with Francesco Lago coming up.
Yeah, Tomasetto definitely hasn't set amazing pace on these harder compounded tyres, as Largo looking to put that pressure on. Valentino and Bella might just be sure to get to the back of that pack as well. But Tom Roberts is in the pit lane. Let's see where he comes out in the likes. Comparing to the likes of Wojtek Steg, to the Prescott, and all them guys down there on the fresher tyres. But he comes into the pit lane. So does Isaac Leet and Stephen Vasso too. So Campbell Adams is going to be let into that race lead, and Oleg Napadovsky flowing through. But yeah, 10 lap shootout now, as Oleg Napadovsky's putting the pressure on Adams in that race lead, but still can't make the move as Adams just defends in the Alpine and just blocks off any sort of move from the Red Bull. And Tom Roberts then, he just came out in P9. This could be quite a strong result for him. Yeah, he set some really, really good pace in the first stint on the harder compound tyres. Now he's got a chance to show what pace he has on the mediums and get some serious points in this race.
Yeah, he's got the perfect pit stop right there. He's come out in clear air. He's ahead of the next group, led by Tomasz Kokony, which has a little bit slower pace than Robert had all race throughout. And the next group up ahead is only a few seconds away from the race leader. Tomasetto Ilia, of course, still leading it. And Roberts is closing up the gap really, really fast through the hairpin right now, gaining several tenths through that corner only. And he's already pretty much within DRS range of Zal and Bieder. And then the big task is up ahead to try and get past all of them. Unfortunately for Roberts, Campbell Adams' teammate Valentino Labella is in this group, and even though he does have a 3-second time penalty, I feel like Labella, for the sake of his teammate, might make the Ferrari driver's life a little bit more difficult than he would have liked.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see how quickly Tom Roberts can dispatch these guys ahead. He's already around 9.5 tenths behind, and when he goes on his route down to turn number 1, it's going to be even closer as he gets on the exit of the final few corners. As Ryan Modler, he makes a move on Victor Widler into the chicane at 16 and turn number 17 and up into P12 as them guys looking to try and break into the top 10. But Tom Roberts only 4 tenths behind as he makes his way now through turn number 3 and turn number 4. And through this first sector, he might slightly be held up by Zal and Bieder. There's no real overtaking opportunities there unless he can try and go around the outside at the Dunlop curve. But yeah, there's nothing going there. It's close. I just don't think it's close enough in the first sector to make any sort of moves. It is very tight and technical. And might have to just wait until turn number 11.
Yeah, I think he's going to make the move right there. He's so close. He's going to try and go around the outside. Perhaps he's already passed by the time the corner happens. Yes, it does. Tom Roberts has made his first move on the medium tires. Now up to P8. Next up is Valentino Labello. That is Campbell Adams' teammate. And perhaps Labella is going to defend a little bit harder than Zal and Bieder did. Of course, Zal is the only remaining Aston Martin, and I feel like he wants to bring home some points for the team and himself as well. Even if it is only going to be P9, it's better than nothing at all. So, now, up next, Tom Roberts is going to try on Valentino Labella. I feel like he's going to try it perhaps in the chicane to get past ASAP. He will still have DRS on Francesco Lago anyway. He'll have more grip, but no, he backs out from that move there, and he's going to get as close as he can. Same goes for Labella. Labella wants to get past now in the form of defense against Tom Roberts. He's gonna have to make his move against Francesco Lagos, or perhaps Tom Roberts can make a go on 2-in-1. He's gonna have to find a gap, but he can't because all of them are too fast. And there he goes on the inside, and collision already happening between Labella and Tom Roberts. It was no surprise, of course, that Valentin Labella wants to defend a little bit harder, but it might have been a little bit too hard for his liking. And still though, Tom Roberts up to P7. Up next, Francesco Lago, who's got no championship contending teammate in the group ahead. So perhaps the defense is going to be a little bit easier again. And then Tomasetto Ilia, of course, who's now 1.8 seconds clear from Gregory Protzibo, but Tom Roberts is in a hurry. He's not got much time left. There's 8 laps after this one remaining. Is going to try around the outside in the hairpin, and Francesco Lago makes no big deal about it. Up into P6 now. He's about to enter the top 5, but then there's a long way to go of about 2 seconds for victory.
Wow. I mean, if and needs to get past.
You're cutting out a lot now, Alex. A whole lot.
Let me try and change it. Hang on.
All right, let's see. There goes Tom Roberts in the meanwhile. Before 130 yards, gonna try and move past Tomasetto Ilia. Once again, Ilia also not making a big deal out of it, but he finds himself under pressure right now. Nearly 3 cars coming together as Ilia found himself bigly surprised right there by Francesco Lago, who finds himself with a lot more pace all of a sudden. And Ilia, of course, will have no answer to Tom Roberts, but he might need an answer to Francesco Lago. But the gap does increase, so Ilia might be running a little bit less downforce. Wow, nearly dives into Tom Roberts' side as he wanted to come back at him, but Roberts had the answer ready for him. He knew it might potentially happen. In the meanwhile, in the back of the field, championship leader Isaac Lead getting past Victor Whittler. He's potentially on his way for a point, but there's still a 5-second gap from Ryan Modler to Zal and Bieder in the P10 position. So Isaac Lead, championship leader, in huge trouble as he might be overtaken by several drivers in the championship, at least by Gregory Protzibo, the man 4th in the standings, and Tom Roberts now in P5 has got that 2-second gap to cover. Does he still have enough tire life then to make it happen? Through the hairpin he goes, gains 0.2 of a second, but he'll lose that again on the main straight, so he needs to gain more and more time ASAP. Valentino Labella and Tudor Presigan also fighting for position. The later it gets in the race, the more the gloves come off, but it is still Tom Roberts we'll want to watch now. 1.6 seconds and gaining fast, 1.5 now to the top 4, and then we'll properly see who can win this race. A 5-way fight for it either way.
Yes, heading down to 130R. Tom Roberts, 1.8 is that gap, and needs to take the time mainly out of the first sector, as that will probably be the most important place. As when he gets the rear wing open, the car's ahead. Gregory Pujibel closing up to Rens Thomason, as it's 0.2 of a second. Can he try and make a move down to turn number 1? Close, but just not close enough. As in the DRS trade, it's going to be a struggle to make that move. As at the moment, Tom Roberts, the gap will close in this first sector now. 1.8 it was. Let's see. Let's compare it when we get to that middle sector. As you can see, 10th by 10th, corner by corner. Tom Roberts is closing, and he's coming in hot.
Yeah, it was 2.1 at the end of the main straight, and now it's already 1.2 by the end, the S-curves end, and as he goes into Deckner, he will certainly be within DRS range by the end of the hairpin, or even before that. Look at that, less than 1 second already, and now he's within striking range of Gregory Purcell, one of his rivals in the championship at the moment. Isaac Leeds still nowhere to be found near the points, struggling to get past Ryan Modler for P11, and even that will not bring him any points whatsoever. So the fight for the championship at the moment stands between Tom Roberts and Gregory Purcell, the men second and third in the standings at the moment. They are separated by, from the top of my head, only 10 points, so there's still something big to gain for the both of them, with the championship leader pretty much out of the points unless something dramatic happens. He will soon have to get past Isaac Leeds, and then he's going to have to hope somebody retires ahead of him. We might see some late race drama between these 5 and perhaps in the group behind as well. We saw there Tudor Presigan getting awfully close, and in fact going side by side through the chicane. They have contact as well. Perhaps some damage, at least not visually from what I can see. But it's looking like Tudor Presigan's got the upper hand of pace in terms of against Valentino Labella. He's going to have to try to make the move in turn 1. Is he going to go for a dive? He certainly isn't daring to, because he's simply too far away, or is he nearly went for it right there? But Labella closed the door in time, and there goes Isaac Leeds now ahead of Ryan Modler into P11. He's got a 6-second gap to cover on those medium tires. I don't think he has enough time to do so.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's definitely close, but I mean, at the moment, all eyes on Tom Roberts. Is actually very, very close already to Gregory Pujibel, heading through that middle sector now, and up to sector number 11, closing. Nearly under 0.2 of a second as we head to turn number 11 in the braking zone. It's not close enough, and a few more car lengths than he would have been ahead. As Tom Roberts heads now around 200R, and for the 22nd time. With only 5 laps to go, what's the tyre advantage heading into these final 5 laps, and where can he get? Can he try and manage to get onto the podium? I mean, only time will tell. But at the moment, I mean, it's close. Heading now down to 130R in the slipstream. But just not close enough. But yeah, them guys getting very feisty behind with Tudor Presigan, Valentino Labella. Is anybody else going to get involved heading into the Casio triangle? As Tom Roberts is making a move on Gregory Pujibel, he dives down the inside, and that is late, and that is what he needs. That is fantastic. Heading on to lap number 23, crucial move up to P4.
Yeah, he's now on net 0. He's back where he started on the alternate tire strategy, up into P4 once again. And I think he still's got barely the tire advantage, especially now over Rens Thomason and Campbell Adams, whose tires are the oldest in the top 5. Oleg and Gregory got fresher tires, and Tom Roberts got past Gregory already, so he might find it a bit easier against Rens and perhaps Campbell as well. We saw Oleg Nabadovsky headed to the chicane, pushing pretty much the Alpine through there, and he nearly went for a move, but I think he didn't want to go side by side, because that would have allowed Tom Roberts to get even closer to them. They do know that Roberts is on a faster tire strategy at the moment. He's still got the tire advantage. Look for the hairpin right here. He's still gaining on them, and Rens Thomason feels the hot breath of the Ferrari driver pretty much behind him, and it's going to be a struggle right there. Tudor Presigan in the meanwhile, once again side by side with Valentino Labella. He wants to get past. He's desperate to stay into P8, and Tudor Presigan still can't get through, or does he? He's gonna go try side side by side again. The gloves are off properly in the spoon curve, and there goes Labella off the track. Of course, that was to be expected if he goes side by side right there. And championship leader Isaac Leet has gotten even worse news as he tries to close the gap to the top 10. He gains a 3-second time penalty. That is absolute disaster right there for the man leading the standings at the moment. Tom Roberts has gotten awfully close to Rens Thomason. In fact, he's nearly side by side, nearly loses control of the car as they go onto the main straight. This is his opportunity. He's forced Rens Thomason out of the slipstream of the top 3, and there's Gregor Psibel. He's going to try and go around the outside, but he just doesn't have the tire grip to get going right there. And Roberts, thankfully for himself, stays in P4. He's forced Rens now out of DRS as well. So Rens is now very vulnerable, but on the downside, it might mean Tom Roberts might have lost connection to the top 2 for good.
It's close. It's definitely hotting up in that top 5, and also between Prescott and Valentino Labella, both making some dicey moves on the last few laps. But yeah, Tom Roberts at the moment, where's he going to make this move? Is he going to be down to turn number 1, or is he going to try and go for it at turn number 11? It's close. He's dived to the inside and make contact.
They make absolutely... Sorry about my squeal right there. I mean, that was never going to work, wasn't it?
Oh, wow. I mean, it was close. I think that was nearly 2 drivers out of the race there. But, contact, and always a bit of drama heading to the last stage of the race. Tom Roberts stays in P4. He's got to make the move fairly on Rens Thomason. Just was not close enough there to make any sort of dive.
It's certainly one way to make Rens Thomason fall out of DRS, because at least he's successfully done that. Hope for his sake that the FIA won't investigate this issue now. Gregory Psibel is all over the back of him once again. I feel like the tire degradation has now come to the point where the mediums are perhaps almost equal to the hard tires. Tom Roberts now has to make the move immediately, otherwise the top 2 will go away. Oleg Napadovsky in the same time is pressuring the race leader, and there's Gregory Psibel actually pressuring Tom Roberts instead of the other way around to Rens Thomason. And now it looks like Tom Roberts might be in trouble. His net 4th position from the race start back into that place anyways is perhaps not going to be converted to a podium, and his alternate tire strategy might be thrown into the bin because of contact. Perhaps he's gained some damage to his front wing against Rens Thomason's gearbox right there. But we'll have to find out after the race. Perhaps we could get some insight from these drivers. Either way, there's still fights going on for the lead as well. Oleg Napadovsky and Campbell Adams still very close together. Rens Thomason tries to get back within DRS range, barely hangs on to it by this point. And Tom Roberts no longer has the tire advantage.
It's all coming to them for Tom Roberts now. I don't think he's made the most of their mediums in this stint. I mean, he's done a fantastic job to get where he is, but can he now put a bit of pressure on Rens in the final few laps of the race? 4.5 tenths is the gap. I mean, he's made the strategy work. He's got back to where he was and is now equal to where he started. But let's see if he can try and elevate that position onto the podium above Rens. And the gap's close. And has Rens got DRS? It was very nip and tuck, under a second and over. So let's see if he gets that rearing open to defend from Tom Roberts. Does he head across the line? He does not. So here we go. Tom Roberts has got another opportunity down to turn 1 with that rearing open. Is he closing by enough, though, to make a move? He's going for the outside line. I think it's not enough. It's just not enough. And yeah, it's just not closed by enough in the final sector. But there we go. It's close between both teammates. Thomas had to rely on Judy Prescott. I think Thomas... Whoa! All sorts of chaos going on at turn number 2. What's going on?
What's happening? There's a lot of things happening all at once. Thomas Elia was fighting indeed with Tudor Presican, and Tudor felt like he was faster. And then the McLarens, I believe, collided. I didn't see it. I was watching Tom Roberts' onboard view to the battle for 3rd place, as that, of course, is more important to the championship. But now, Thomas Elia out of the points, and crucially, Isaac Leet in, but he does have a time penalty of 3 seconds that perhaps he might want to try and get it removed either way, as he's now going to try and harass Zalon Beater for P9. As he might still have the tire advantage over the Aston Martin right there. Either way, points are still a struggle for the championship leader. He's got 2 cars behind him that will overtake him at the start-finish line once the race is over. We're on the penultimate lap at the moment, and now we'll find out who's going to win the race.
Absolutely. Final lap bound. Campbell Adams is going to lead us away. But Oleg Napadovsky in P2 on his debut as well. Tom Roberts looking to make a move. Final Casio triangle. It's close between the pair, just not close enough once again. Can Oleg Napadovsky try and lunge down the inside at turn number 1 as we head across the line for the final time in this race, the final 5.8 kilometers. As you see them weaving in the background with Renz. Oleg can't get close enough to make a move. Renz is looking to defend. Tom Roberts is trying to make a move. No one's getting through as they all stay in position. And now the next opportunity is probably down the back straight or up to turn number 11 if they're close enough. But I just don't think Tom Roberts has that extra grip anymore to make them moves. Oleg Napadovsky, I think he's going to struggle to get past Campbell Adams, who's looking so comfortable on the final lap. But wow, what a race it's been for Tom Roberts, just coming to a close in the final stages. Here comes Gregory Pujibel, actually putting pressure on.
Yep, it looks like Gregory Pujibel's found some pace again on the final lap indeed. Is he going to go for the hairpin perhaps? Tom Roberts defends the inside. Can't find a way past there for the pole does. This is interesting. Tom Roberts finds himself stuck behind Renz, and he's now lost so much time as Gregory's gonna try it into the spoon, and he actually does go for the move, and they collide with wheels to one another, banging wheels all over the place. Roberts stays ahead for the time being. I notice Roberts' driving has become more and more frustrated as he just couldn't get past Rens Thomason anyway, and it looks like Oleg Napadovsky will not be winning the race after all. It will be Campbell Adams after losing pole position last week. He's gonna go for the win of the race, and he's gonna close the championship gap to a little bit less than it was right now. There he goes across the line, winning it. Rens Thomason just hangs onto the podium. Roberts barely hangs on to P4, and Gregory Pujibel will finish P5. To the press again in P6, then Francisco Lagos, Alan Beater. Isaac Lead, after all, finishing in the points still, but his rivals will be gaining on him either way, and I believe now my game has decided to crash.
Oh, typical EA, but yeah, fantastic race there, and big shout out to Oleg Napadovsky, and what an effort to get P2 on debut, pole position as well, and yeah, fantastic job from him, but I mean, there we go. It is the Alpine of Campbell Adams who takes the win, and it's disaster for Isaac Lee, as I mean, yeah, not a great showing from him here in Suzuka, and hopefully he can come back better next week and battle for the championship. But Campbell Adams wins, Oleg Napadovsky in P2, Rens Thomason in P3, it's Tom Roberts, Gregory Pujibel, Tudor Prescott, Francesco Lago, Alan Bida, and Isaac Lee does take P9 in the end, and Valentino Nabella takes P10.
Yeah, my game has completely died on me now. Thankfully, the rest of my computer remains intact. That's a rare crash on my side, so apologies for that one. Thankfully, it was just after the finish line and not before it, so we saw everything happen that was important. So yeah, biggest news, of course, is that Isaac Lee has struggled big time instead of Gregory Pujibel, who just missed out on P4 there after harassing Tom Roberts on the final lap. Tom Roberts now in the chat saying that Rens Thomas is getting reported, I think, for the incident in the hairpin. I think that is the closest thing that is for an FIA investigation. I'm not sure who was at fault right there. Tom Roberts, of course, feels that Rens is all confused about what he's getting reported for. And to answer the question in the chat, commentator sounds Dutch. You're absolutely right. It's because I am. Let me actually tag the top 3 in the Discord chat to see if they've got something to say about this race. Of course, Campbell. Man in second place is Oleg, who will be very happy, I think. And a man in third place is going to be Rens Thomason. Let's see if they want to give some insights, and we'll hopefully hear from them in a minute or two.
Absolutely, but yeah, perfect race there. And for Campbell Adams, he will close in at the top, and Isaac Lee does score a few points in the end, but yeah, I mean, all sorts of chaos in the final few laps there, a few dodgy moves. Like the McLarens down at turn number 2. I'm not sure exactly what happened to them. I know there's contact at turn number 2, so I'm guessing that one of them was on the inside, one of them on the outside, and maybe just turned in a bit too early at turn number 2 and knocked one off course. But yeah, that could be a really important race there for Campbell Adams, who will move up, move a lot closer to the likes of Tom Roberts, Gregory Pujibel, and especially Isaac Lee at the top, who's going to be under significant pressure. Pujibel, Roberts, and Adams after a not so great showing here in Suzuka, but he's going to look to bounce back as we head into the final rounds, that's for certain.
Yep, I'm going to do some math right here. As you can see, the standings up on the screen right now. Campbell Adams is going to gain 16 points, which puts him at 59 points. Tom Roberts will gain, let's see, that is 8 points for P4. That brings him up to 58. And that means Campbell Adams will overtake him for sure. Gregory Putzibel from P5, 6 points, brings him up to 66. That means if the standings stay like this, he'll be 2 points away from Isaac Lead, who will gain 2 points after this race on 68. So yeah, the top 4 is getting incredibly close together with 3 rounds to go. And I believe we've got our first interviewee waiting in the waiting room. It is our debutant, Oleg Napadovsky. I hope you can hear us, Oleg. Welcome in the commentary box right here. And well, what a debut for you. Well done. How do you feel?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good way to start debuting in F3, but yeah, a bit disappointed with the second place, to be honest, because I felt like there was an opportunity to get Campbell, but yeah, unfortunately, just wasn't quite good at the exit of which provides the straight. I was having bad exits quite often, so I couldn't get Campbell, unfortunately.
How did you go into this race? I mean, you probably felt like you had nothing to lose, and then you suddenly were in pole position. How was that experience for you?
To be honest, my pole lap wasn't something really surprising because in the practice I did a bit faster times. It was really good what I managed to make a good lap, then it matters. That was the hardest thing, because this track is not too easy to like pick the lap, and so the lap time wasn't that exciting, but yeah, it was quite good what I managed to set it in the actual session.
Right, Alex, anything from you you'd like to ask?
I mean, heading to the future, I mean, what's your expectations? Are you going to be here more often and challenging for more race wins?
Yeah, thank you, guys.
All right. That's our man in second place with a near perfect dream debut. And, well, actually, Alex, we've got some more good news because our race winner is in the chat as well.
That's cool.
And let's drag him in here. Campbell Adams, race winner, back on top once again. And all I can say is well done to you. Closing the championship gap. It's going to be an exciting one. But how do you feel about this race against someone who's actually made a debut?
Yeah, obviously he's just done a very good job. Yeah, my quali wasn't great. Unfortunately, I was well off my PB, so just messed up a little bit. But no, the race was good. Just was able to control it from the front. Obviously was on a little bit older tires than the rest, so I was struggling a little bit at the end. But no, it was good.
Did you feel like you were in control in the second stint, or did you feel like you had to push to stay ahead of Oleg?
There were, I think, 2 times where he was almost side by side with me going into turn 1, and kind of after that, I kind of understood where his strengths were, so I was just able to, yeah, control it from there on.
And in terms of championship, because you are starting to close the gap to the top of the field for the championship battle, do you feel like you can be a proper contender in the remaining 3 races this season?
That's the goal. That's the intention. Obviously, had a very slow start. I feel I missed 2 races, and then yeah, over the last 2 races before
Kota.
Yeah, before Kota, I was wasn't doing well, but no, it's been good the last 2 races. So we'll see what happens in Vegas.
Right, Alex. Anything from you you'd like to ask?
Not much from me, but yeah, fantastic race from yourself, and very much deserved win, and you did fantastic out there. So congratulations, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers for joining us.
Thank you.
Rens Thomason unfortunately didn't want to join, so that actually does conclude our broadcast. Alex, I think a fascinating race to watch, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and I love seeing a debutant make significant progress like that and make an instant impact to the field. And I look forward to, more races with Napadovsky as well. and see what else he can do to maybe try and get that first race win on the cards. But a really strong showing from himself. And yeah, I do look forward to seeing him more often.
Yep. And that does round off our stream for tonight here in the F3 tier. F2 and F4, of course, are still going on. I believe the races are about to start, to make sure you tune in for that if you want some more racing. And also check out our new sponsor, Sim Racing Setups, with 5% off if you enter the code PSGL at checkout. Thank you so much for joining us. Next week, we'll be heading to a new track. Las Vegas will be up next, followed by Brazil and Mexico, and then we'll find out who will be our F3 Season 40 champion. Exciting stuff ahead, therefore. And Alex, any last words from you?
That's everything from me, but it's been a pleasure alongside yourself as usual, so thank you very much for having me, and yeah, good luck to everyone in the final 3 rounds.
Indeed. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you guys are, and see you next week. Same place, same time. Until then, goodbye.